We are talking about journeying with the challenging. In the course of our life, I'm sure there are people who will inconvenience you. There are people who will interrupt you. There are people who will irritate you. There are people who will inflict pain upon your life. What do we do with them? What if they repeat the same mistake over and over and over again? What we need to do, of course, is to show mercy, as we have spoken over the past 5 weeks or so. But what if they do it over and over again? We have to continue to show mercy. According to Jesus' answer to Peter, how many times must we do it? It is 70 times 7. And so when we show mercy again and again, it is manifested as patience. This morning, I don't want to give you a study on patience. What I'm more interested in doing is to help you to practice patience. That at the end of the sermon, you will know that if you need to have patience in your life, you know exactly what to do. So I'm going to quickly go in and define what patience is so that you know what we are talking about. I want to tell you how important patience is and how it can be done. I want to share with you practices or aspects of my life where I have to come and surrender to God so that patience may be cultivated in my life. I'm not standing here to share with you as an expert on patience. I'm here to tell you that I'm a very impatient person. And because I'm very impatient, I had to have many encounters with God so that patience can be developed in my life. I know I'm not perfect yet, but I am on the way. And so because of that, I have many encounters with God. I want to share with you as a student of patience. And let us learn and develop this together. What is patience? Patience comes from a combination of two Greek words that forms this macrothumeo, and it's made up of two words that means long and passion, anger or rage. In King James Version, it captures it very well to tell us that it is long suffering. Because when we are undergoing this irritation, these inconveniences, this interruption, this infliction, we have to tahan and tahan for a long time. That's why it feels almost like suffering. It is also can mean long-tempered or temper that takes a long time to rise. Almost like you're baking cake and the cake never rises kind of thing. It means that it doesn't lose its temper easily. And very often when I reflect on such truth, I like to phrase it in my own way so that it gives me a working definition. So that whenever I think of something like that, I will use these few words to remind me of the essence of what patience is. And so I came up with this. What is patience? And very often this patience refers to being patient with difficult people rather than being patient in difficult circumstances. And that is why patience is so important for us when we're dealing with challenging people. So what is this working definition for me? The working definition is basically this: give the other person another chance. Even though he has made the same mistake again and again. When he makes a mistake, you tell yourself, give him another chance. When he makes another mistake, you say, give him another chance. So every time the person makes a mistake, you tell yourself, give him another chance. And when you just capture on this, focus your mind on giving the person another chance, your irritation level goes down. Your anger level goes down. Your frustration level goes down. Try and see. Someone irritates you, you say, okay, it's okay. Give him another chance. And another chance, and another chance. Is this biblical? Let's look at Proverbs chapter 19, verse 11. It says, a man's wisdom gives him patience. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. In the poetical segments of the Bible, there's such a thing as parallelism. It is a literally construct where the first line and the second line sounds almost similar. They affirm one another and they illuminate one another. And so the first part talks about a man's wisdom give him patience. So the key word is patience. But what does this patience mean? How to put this patience into practice? It is in the second line. It is to his glory to overlook an offense. So what is patience? Overlook an offense. What is overlooking an offense? Cancel the old debt and start afresh. Give him another chance. Brothers and sisters, people around us need another chance. People around us need many chances. We can see this in the way Jesus treated Peter. Peter denied Christ 3 times just before Jesus was crucified. He did not deny Christ 3 times in 3 years. He did not deny Christ 3 times within a year. He did not deny Christ 3 times within a month. He denied Christ 3 times in a space of just a few hours. This faithful co-worker lived with him for 3.5 years, 24/7. Somehow, at the most crucial point of Christ's life, chose to sleep in the prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane, chose to deny Christ 3 times. When Jesus resurrected, what did he do? He went searching for them, but he fed them first. Give them a full stomach before he started talking to Peter. He asked him 3 questions, basically the same question over and over again. 3 questions. Do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? That was all he did. He did not come to Peter and say, Peter, what happened to you? I left you only for a few hours and you failed miserably. I'm so disappointed in you. How can I even leave this earth in peace? I'm so worried about you. I'm so worried about the rest of you. Haven't I told you to be careful that Satan is going to come and shake your faith? Remember, he's going to sift you like a wheat. Why you never pay attention to what I say to you? How many times must I tell you? Does that sound familiar? Parents, how many times must I tell you? Peter, one more time of this nonsense and you are out. You are done. Did Jesus do that? No, there was no condemnation. There was no rebuke. There was no threat. Peter denied Christ 3 times, and Christ now comes to Peter and gave him a chance to reaffirm his love 3 times. Do you love me? Yes. Do you love me? Yes. Do you love me? Yes. Okay, well done. Carry on with your work. Why is patience so important? Brothers and sisters, patience is important because it will create space for those around us to grow. Can you imagine what if Jesus was not patient? Can you imagine what if Jesus was not patient with his disciples? Remember, we started off by talking about Jesus' 12 disciples. At least 7 of them would have issues. Peter continued to give him problems even at the point of his death. And so did the other disciples. Christianity would be a very different scenario today if Jesus were not patient. Parents, I'm sure you understand how some of your children have superpowers to somehow make your life miserable. You know, when my children was younger, I came to a point where I had to think to myself, it's either I die or they die. One of us have to die. Because they were getting on my nerve and it's like almost killing me. And so my reaction was to kill them. Punish them, scold them, implement so many rules. And somehow I feel that it was not working. And I realized that instead of trying to make them change, I have to change. I have to change. And when I change, then I'll be able to accept them and help them change. I believe all the parents here, you have somehow cultivated or have an innate patience from years of bringing up your children. Why? You know how many times a baby falls? From the age of 9 to 15 months, which is about 6 months, they fall an average of 20 times a day. 6 months, 180 days. 20 times a day, that is equivalent to 3,600 times. That's a lot of times, isn't it? As parents, what do you do when your children fall? Your baby, toddlers, now some of you grandparents, when your grandchildren fall, what do you do? Do you get upset and say, 1 time? Fall again? 2 times. Fall again? 3 times. You better sit there. I've given you 3 chances and you still can't walk. So simple. Why can't you walk? I show you. Can you do this? I've been doing this for the whole of my life. Why is it so difficult? I'm going to give you another 3 chances, and if you don't make it, you just sit there. We don't do that. What do we do when they fall? Yay, well done. Stand up and fall down. Stand up and sit down. Oh, well done. You're doing well. Walk 1 step, fall down. Oh, well done. Doing well. Come on. We are their cheerleader. We express patience to their mistakes. We are creating a room for them to grow. If we don't do that, if we rebuke them, if we condemn them, if we stop them from doing it because they fail, what will happen to them? They will never grow. So why is patience so important? If we don't allow mistakes, there will be no room for growth. And that's why the church needs to provide an environment where people can come and explore. And in exploring, surely they will make mistakes. For people to come and try, and in trying, surely they will fail. And so that is why mercy and patience is so important if we want to provide an environment where people can grow. And Jesus is our best example. Secondly, why is it so important? Because it will give you the resilience to live happily in this fallen world. If every time someone makes a mistake, especially your family members and those that matters, those who are important to you, you feel, very soon your blood pressure will go so high. Your blood vessels may even burst. So without patience, you're likely to get angry more often. And your anger and frustration will exhaust you. It will burn you out. But with patience, you'll be less frustrated or angry. You'll be able to navigate this fallen world much better. You will last longer. Instead of being grumpy, you'll be happy. You will enjoy life better. The older I am, the more I'm convinced that happiness does not depend on the circumstances around me, but it depends on who I am from the inside. That's why Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, verse 12, he says, I know what it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I've learned the secret of being content, or I've learned the secret of being happy in any and every situation. It is not the environment that decides our happiness. It is who we are from the inside. It is our belief system, it's our perspective of the situation that causes us to be happy or grumpy, to be cheerful or to be sad. Why is patience so important? Because it will keep you on the right track. Brothers and sisters, very often we are focused on God, but along the way, as we take this journey, we are distracted. We go off course. We live a Christian life, but a miserable one. Look at some of these situations that impatience caused. It caused Abraham to marry Hagar and bring unrest into his family. And all of us know, not just unrest into his family, unrest into the entire region and into the rest of the world. Impatience caused Jacob to deceive his father and forever live in fear of his brother Esau. Remember the time when he had to come back to Canaan land and how he organized his servants to be in front. All the goods that he wanted to give to his brother, and then organize his family, his wives to be in front, and then he put himself last. Just to test water and see whether anything will happen to them. If anything happens to them, he can jabut. He can run away, for those of you who don't understand jabut. Moses to strike the rock and forfeit his entry into the promised land after all he did. The goal was to enter promised land, and he himself cannot get in. Impatience caused Saul to offer the sacrifice without waiting for Samuel, and as a result, lost his kingship. This is what impatience have caused. So brothers and sisters, are you on the right track? Or have you veered off track because of your lack of patience? So let us go into the important part. Patience made easy. Patience can be easy because like what the verse that Lynn read earlier on, my burden, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Come to me, all those who are weary and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Sometimes we are weary and laden by the irritations, by the inflictions of the people around us. But can we come to God and find rest? He promised us that it'll be easy and light, or light and easy. Now, the key is really in this verse. Galatians chapter 5, verse 22 and 23 say, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such things, there is no law. Very often as Christians, when we read this itemized listing, we feel that God is setting for us a standard of who or what we are supposed to be like if we are Christians, if we are good Christians. But is that the intention? Actually, Paul's intention is to highlight to us the positive result of walking in the Spirit or walking in obedience to the Holy Spirit. That's why in the same passage in Galatians chapter 5, there is the results of walking in the flesh. And there is the results of walking in the Spirit. And how do we know this? Because this is not even a full list. It's not a complete list. How we know it's not a complete list? Because he says, against such things. Things that belong into this category where these 9 different virtues are part of. It's just like when he listed the acts of the flesh, he says, and those like it, those that are similar to it, the same style of ending, to tell us that this is but a segment or part of the results of walking in the Spirit. So brothers and sisters, if we learn to walk in the Spirit, if we learn to hear from the Spirit and walk in obedience to Him, then naturally you'll be able to build, express, or develop the fruit of patience. Then you have patience as part of your character in life. Now, this verse gives me a lot of comfort. Why? Because it tells me that I'm not alone in the development of patience. God is there to help me. The Spirit of God is there to guide me. You see, brothers and sisters, Christianity is not a self-improvement program. If you think you have to do it by yourself, with your own strength, with your own discipline, then you're on the wrong footing. It is not possible for us to reach the standards of Christ by our self-effort. Give up. Don't even try. Christianity is a God-initiated, Spirit-led, and empowered program. God is with you. The Holy Spirit is with you to provide you the wisdom and customize the solution for your situation. Remember this diagram? The process from the impossible to the easy. When we go through irritation, when we go through inconveniences, when we go through interruptions and inflictions, we feel the pain. And we feel like this is so hard. Bringing up children is so difficult. Living together with my spouse is so challenging. And other people say, no, not so challenging. You haven't lived with my spouse yet. But where's the turning point? The turning point comes in the next phrase. You must hear from God. When we hear from God and receive from God the customized solution for our situation, and we begin to reflect on what God says, what God says makes sense. And will tell us that it is possible. Then we have two contrasting thoughts, my thought and God's thought. And what we need to do then is to change our thinking so that we align our thinking with God's thinking. That is when you realize my burden, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. And as we practice it, we'll begin to enjoy and say, yes, this is possible. I can do it with the help of God. So I'm going to share with you 3 particular phrases that was really helpful in my journey from impatience, I wouldn't say patient, my journey from impatience to more patient. First of all is this phrase, anger does not solve any problem. Let me give you a context. This happened during a time when it was very close to Christmas, maybe 1 or 2 months before Christmas, which usually is one of the busiest period in the church life. My wife at that time has just assumed the leadership of children's Bible class, so she was super busy. Take over the classes, have to prepare for Christmas. She has to arrange and coordinate with the teachers, the students, the program, the performances, the practices, the costumes, the venues, the finances, the food, and had to do all the contact. And so what happened that day was just after dinner. Normally what takes place in our home is that I will cook the dinner, prepare and then cook the dinner, and then place the food on the table. We don't really have a sit-down dinner because in the low-cost house, there's no place. So each of us go and grab the food that we want and then sit wherever we want to sit and have dinner. But my wife was not really into that dinner because she was busy. And so after we have dinner, normally what we do was that we will make sure the children have their shower, and after their shower, change their clothes and get ready for sleep. But before their sleep, we will make sure that they do their homework. We'll check, do you have any homework, and so on. So every one of us sit down, they do their homework, we do our work. But that day was different, and it has been different for several days already. My wife was on the phone, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The call finished, she gives another call. That call finished, gives another call. That call finished, another call come in. And so I think something like from 6 o'clock, she was on the phone. On the phone. And when I was looking at all this, the children were messy, they were sweaty, they were quarreling with one another. Food was on the table, the pans and pots were in the kitchen sink as well as on the stove. And I was having this revival fire. The fire comes back. I was getting angry. I was getting more and more angry. And then I told myself, I need to do something to stop this. Don't you? So I need to do something to stop this. And so I was looking at her, going on and on and on and on and on. How can I stop this? And I identified the one thing that can deal with, that will stop this conversation, the phone. Those days, we were still using house phones, so I wanted to go to the wall and yank out the phone and throw it out of the house. I could see myself doing that. The problem was the door of the house was closed. How to throw it out of the house? It is totally illogical, irrational. But you see, when you get angry, you don't think. You just want to do something driven by the anger. Correct? You all never get angry before. I was so upset. I just want to do it. And then I complained to God. I said, God, look at this woman. She no. So as I complained to God, God asked me a very important question. Why are you so angry? He was like, can't you see? Duh. You asked me why I'm so angry, so I repeated what I said to God. Then God asked me the next question. You've been angry for so long. Has your anger improved the situation? Has it solved the problem? Then I said, no, Lord. Then he asked the killer question. Then why are you still so angry? I was like, ugh. But yeah, why am I still so angry? I want to solve the problem. That's why I justify my anger. But my anger cannot solve the problem. Then what's the point of being angry? And so I calm down and say, God, I'm so sorry. Sorry I was angry. Lord, I do not know how to deal with this. Please teach me. You see, James chapter 1, verse 19 to 20, especially the second part, verse 20, says, for man's anger does not bring about the righteous life that God desires. Cannot. Anger will not help you to bring about righteousness, not in your life, nor in the lives of those people around you. Lawrence Douglas Wilder says, anger doesn't solve anything. It builds nothing, but it can destroy everything. Psalms 37 verse 8 says, refrain from anger and turn from wrath. Do not fret, it leads only to evil. Imagine what would have happened if I yank out the phone and throw the phone out of the house. How would my wife feel? How would my children who is in the hall together with us, when they witness this particular scene, how would it traumatize their life? And so as I prayed, I said, God, help me. And then I calmly said to my wife, this is not working. We need to do something to deal with this matter. And so she continued to be busy. She's like, oh, yeah. But no. She was talking to someone else, yeah. And then everything ended that night. I tried to clear as much as I can. We slept. The next morning, we woke up and said that, what can we do? So that the children's needs will be taken care of. And yet, you are released to follow the passion of your heart. I mean, I should really appreciate and admire her for her dedication and commitment to ministry, shouldn't I? Why should I be so upset? Instead of encouraging her, I was trying to stop her because her commitment caused me inconvenience, caused me interruption and irritation. So we discussed and we decided that there'll be no phone calls in and out before 8 p.m. so that we can get all the things done and you can call as much as you want after 8 p.m. And that worked. So anger does not solve any problem. Secondly, keep no record of wrongs. Ming Hui was very good in doing that last week. You know, very often, why is this record of wrongs so critical? Because the word record of wrongs comes from the Greek word logizomai, and it is used for the word used for bookkeeping. Those of you who are old enough, you know those days when they do accounts, they have books and books, huge books, heavy books. And there's a lot of writing on it, lines and lines and lines. Let me tell you, brothers and sisters, the thicker the book, the shorter the fuse. And very often, why is this an issue? I've spoken to many who came because of their frustration with family members or with friends, how they are upset with them. And what happens is this mechanism. Possibly this is how our mind works. When we get hurt by what this person say or do, it triggers within us to try to justify why we are supposed to feel hurt. And what we do is that we go and dig the archives. We bring out this book, and then it goes through the whole list of wrongs that they have done. This list that we're forgiven, that we're supposed to erase, that we're supposed to throw into that unknown realm, suddenly comes back. And the interesting thing is, as you reflect, as you recall the memory of what this person has done, even though it is an old deed, it can inflict fresh wounds. When you remember, oh, this is how he spoke to me when I was 25 years old during my birthday. How can you do that? When I was 31. when I crashed the car. He scolded me in front of everyone. How can he do that? Does he love me? Does he not love me? No lah. That, the more you go through, the more you are able to justify your present anger and frustration. Your old memory become your cheerleader for your anger. And that is the state you remain in. How to let go. How to be patient when there's so much undercurrent. I'm not talking about suppressing it, just throwing away the book, but rather to invite Jesus to come in and say, God, this situation, how do I deal with this? That situation, how do I deal with this? Every one of these lines in your account, bring Jesus in so that that line can be cancelled. And that is done through forgiveness. You go back and listen to my last sermon to talk about how I dealt with my own. And so one of the things that we need to learn is to learn to be forgetful like God. God is so good to us. He says that He remembers our sin no more. Psalms 103 verse 12, He says that so He has removed our transgression from us. When God looks at us, He looks at us as being justified by Jesus. There's no stain of sin because we have been purified. He has removed the sin as far as the east is from the west. That is why when He looks at us, there's no more sin. And anyway, He also cannot remember. And that is the kind of, of course, some people can forget. Some of the situation cannot forget. But what it simply means is that whenever you remember one of this incident, the pain of that incident is no more. You can recall what she did or what he did. Like I tell you the story about my wife. All this frustration is just acting. I'm no longer angry, no longer upset with her. That kind of memory you can recall. But you need to let go. So this is what I do. Refuse to let the memory become the cheerleader for your anger. Whenever the memory comes back, just remind yourself, I don't want to go down that path. I've already forgiven him. I've already forgiven her. I do not want to reopen that chapter. I've already cancelled that debt, and I don't want to dwell on it. I want to give the person a fresh start. I too want to have a fresh beginning in this relationship. And if you can tell yourself that, well, that's what I did, and this is what I often do, then I can move on very quickly. The last part. One time I got really irritated by some of the people that were serving together with me. It is like they are Christians for so long. I cannot imagine why they are still making the same mistake. Why they never change. We like to use this absolute word, never change. That means there's totally been no progress in their life. Because when we use the word never change, it really justifies why we should be angry. Actually, they change, but not much. So one day while I was praying out of this frustration and anger and really feeling impatient, God said to me this phrase, people are imperfect. What does it mean people are imperfect? I believe all of us are imperfect. Any perfect people in our midst? Don't have. Okay. We are all imperfect. What does it mean to be imperfect? Imperfect means we will do imperfect things because imperfect people do imperfect things. Imperfect things are otherwise known as mistakes. This is our life. This is who we are. This is our nature. We will make mistakes. Others will make mistakes. The Bible concurs with this. 1 John chapter 1 verse 8. If we claim to be without sin, we deceive ourselves and the truth is not in us. Apostle John was writing to believers. And he's telling the believers, if you say you have no sin, you're liars. Which means we have. Which means we will do wrong. We will make mistake. If making mistakes are part of people's nature and we are work in progress, remember? Then why are we so upset when they make mistakes? Let me share with you a very crude example because that was the example that stuck in my mind. I said, God, what does it mean? And I recall when I was young, growing up in the family, we stayed in a 2-bedroom house and then extended to 3-bedroom. But this 3-bedroom house lives 9 people, father, mother, 4 brothers and sisters, grandfather, grandmother, and 1 uncle. So there were 9 of us. And in the house, there's only 1 toilet. What is the place where everybody must go before they leave the house? The toilet. 9 people either go to school or go to work, needs to use the toilet in the morning. The first one is blessed. Anybody else who goes in after that have to suffer. You know what I mean? The first one go in, do his business, then he leaves. Oh, okay. The next one go in, and this toilet is situated right in the center of the house. Because we extended, you're supposed to have a window towards the back, but then we extended the back. So it's right in the center of the house. There's no ventilation, no exhaust fan, nothing. So what is done there stays there. So the first person go in, leave. The second person go in, what do you get? You get the smell. A lot of smell. That's why it's called smelly. And when you sit there, when you have to do your business, what do? Do you complain? Why this person so smelly? What did he eat the night before? Terrible, man. I tell you, if you do that, you'll be doing that for every day of your life. And your blood pressure will rise, it will raise. So what do? You just accept it because this is part of life. No matter how handsome the man is, no matter how beautiful the woman is, when they go to the toilet, it smells the same. No matter how much perfume they spray on themselves or they drink, it will still come out the same. Because this is natural. We will make mistakes. And so when God taught me this very important principle of seeing people through this perspective, people will make mistakes. I began to think to myself, if they don't make any mistakes, just wait for it. It will surely come. If they disappoint you in every other area, this is the area that they will be faithful and they will not disappoint you. One day, they will certainly make mistakes. And what it does for me is that it expands my capacity. When I deal with people, I'm also give them that space, that preparation, that one day they will disappoint me. One day they will make mistakes. One day they will irritate me. One day they will inconvenience me. One day they may even hurt me. I say, it's okay. It's natural. So with these 3 statements, what it does is that anger does not solve any problem. It helps to deal with the present. I'm angry. I want to do something. I'm losing my patience. And I remind myself, anger is not going to solve any problem. Calm down. Better seek God. Ask God what is the best way. My pain and my hurt will not solve any problem. Let me seek God. Let me see what I need to do. Keep no record of wrong. Sometimes the past record is breaking through, wanting to have a say in my anger, to add fuel to fire. And I tell myself, I've dealt with that. I'm not allowing that to come back and disturb me. This person is too important for me to go back into the old ways. I want to move forward. And I put that archive aside. Deals with the past. And then when people are imperfect, it helped me to deal with the future. Before you make mistake, I prepared a space for you. There's room for you for making mistakes. And as a church, this is also what we must do. When we give room for people to make mistakes, we give them opportunity to try, to explore, to develop. It becomes a culture of acceptance and restoration. And in this culture, everyone has an opportunity to become better. So brothers and sisters, I truly believe that with God's help, we can develop patience to make our journey with the challenging easier and perhaps even enjoyable. Amen.